clear. Coming through Geocache Talk, a voice on the line I hear. Coming through Geocache Talk.
Embark on a breathtaking 12-night journey through Scandinavia with the Worldwide Cache Cruise, starting from the enchanting city of Amsterdam. With the Worldwide Cache Cruise, we are not just taking a vacation. We are geocaching and collecting experiences that will last a lifetime.
A stunning symbol of adventure, community, and storytelling. Its bold design shines with vibrant colors and a cool retro look. It's more than just a coin. It's a badge of geocaching passion. You can be part of the journey by supporting Geocache Talk on Patreon. Your patronage helps create inspiring shows, grow the community, and keep the adventure going. Join the network at patreon.com/geocachetalk.
Have you subscribed to FTF Magazine yet? FTF Magazine is the #1 geocaching magazine available. It is a quarterly magazine that you can be part of. Subscribing is easy. Just visit FTF's website, ftfgeo.com. Don't miss out and subscribe today.
Calling all geocachers. At artedcrafted.com, we create unique apparel designed by geocachers for geocachers. From custom t-shirts to personalized mugs, our gear lets you express your passion. Stand out at your next event with artedcrafted.com. artedcrafted.com. Gear up for your next geocaching adventure.
Big thanks to all of our patrons and our new patrons, Caching Karma, returning patron Soccer Kicks, Gundark 2000, I love that one, and Nesmuk, another really cool name. But thanks to all our patrons for keeping the various shows on the air, especially a special Thursday night show that we're doing tonight. So we're very excited to have on with us. I've got the co-hosts are here and our very special guest, Jeremy Irish.
Hi.
The man, the OG. We were very thrilled to have you with us. 25 years. It's been exciting to talk about, and you were there. You were there before the beginning. I guess you were there obviously at the beginning, but how's it feel now that we're 25 years in? Did you think we would hit 25 years and still geocaching, I guess, or?
Well, I'm feeling very old at this point. Okay. We have, I've talked to people at events and they're like, I went geocaching as a kid and they're full grown adults, so I'm like, wow. Okay. But I never expected this to be an actual journey for me. I thought it was just going to be a fun hobby for the longest time. And then it turned into a business, and then we have a company, and it sort of evolved over time and more of a surprise than an actual business plan or anything. So, sure. Yeah, but I'm excited. 25 years. It's like, it's a super milestone. I'm definitely a different person than I was when I was 14 when I started the website. I'm just kidding. I was 28. But I've got kids now, and I've got so many different responsibilities. I couldn't imagine the 80 plus hours that I took every week, working on the website and engaging in the forums and that sort of thing. So, it was a good amount of time, but it was well worth it. And I really I feel rewarded when people go out and talk about geocaching, talk about the great stories, bringing families together, couples together. It's been pretty cool.
Cool. Yeah. Podcasts about geocaching.
Yeah. What was that back then? We had a Garmin each, and I think Yahoo maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, even, I started geocaching in 2006, and, I never thought it would be, I loved it. Don't get me wrong. I just never knew it would grow into something like this, or even that we would, we're coming up on this year. We're about, in fact, in a couple months, we're about to hit our 9th year of Geocache Talk, now the Geocache Talk Network. So, yeah, we've been so happy to be a part of it. And I tell Brian when we have him on, from time to time, but we've been so grateful to the lackeys. Everyone at HQ has always tremendous support for us. And whenever we can, we take a moment and thank everybody that is working for HQ, and also all the reviewers. We've like you said, it's grown into a business, but it, for many of us that interact with the folks that, all the lackeys, it feels more like a family type situation. I know it, something Brian mentions, it's like, it feels like a family. For us as well, we always feel like that we're interacting with a relative, when we have the opportunities. And so it's always been good to work with everybody that works at HQ.
Well,
So that's been
geocaching obviously is a business, and it's worldwide and everything else, but that part's important. But I think it's way bigger than that, right? Like, it's been 25 years, but like, my daughters are both grown up geocaching, and one of them's almost grown. I mean, legally she's grown, but she's almost grown. The other one's in law school. She's about to be, and she started off as a little kid geocaching. And like, for us, and like many people that we talk to, geocaching is not just like a hobby that you go do. It's like a family point. After 25 years, it doesn't even last that long, right? Like, people get together on holidays and families get together. It's a normal thing that people do. It's not just like a niche hobby anymore. It's been around for so long. I came into the game later than Gary, but I've known people in the game for 15 years. That's longer than I've known a lot of people, that I still communicate with those people. I mean, like, there's people that have moved off, and I think there's obviously, we're going to ask things like that. Like, did you think it was going to be like this? Everybody has to ask you that, right? But there's no way you can predict, and it's not going anywhere. It's 25 years. People travel the world to geocache, tattoo pieces of the game on their body. I mean, like, people are all in. It's not going anywhere. So where's it going to be in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years from now? It's still going to be here. Now, it's evolving, and we're going to talk about some of that tonight. But there's no way you could have. And Brian says the same thing. Couldn't have predicted what it is now, but not just as a company, but how could you possibly predict that it would touch that many people's lives, like, way back then? I can't see that that's possible.
When I first started it, the entire reason for me creating the website in the first place is I wanted to find more of them. And I thought the best way to get more of them is to encourage people to hide them, but you're starting, like, all over the world. So people are placing caches that you could almost never access. So when we placed the first 75 geocaches on the website, that was the bare beginning. And the hope was, if you hide it, they will come. We would say that all the time. And I remember the first person hiding one in California was like, is anybody going to find this geocache? And I was like, well, if you hide it, they'll come. So just wait. And, and it took a while. It took, probably 4 years before it became popular enough that somebody could look up on the website, put their zip code in, and see if there was a geocache near them. And then it just sort of got to the point, by 2008, that you could find one pretty much close by, whether it's 20 miles or whatever. But but now it's like you could go anywhere in the world, and there's usually a geocache within a mile or less.
Well, that amazes me. I mean, just like that sense of, and I know, digging into the app too. I mean, for me, I always love communities and engaging with communities, and just how amazing the geocaching community is. Somebody made the comment to me a few weeks ago. They said they moved all around the country, part of their service to the military. And they said every place they went, the first friends they met were through geocaching. And, cool. What an awesome community that has been. And I know, Jeremy, I got to thank you for all your part on that one. And I know even with this LilyPad app, it has me so excited about building and connecting with the community a whole lot more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We'll get in that 1 second. We do have one quick item, and we weren't really going to do a lot of news today since it's a Thursday special event, but we do have one item we do want to mention. So let's do some news. So again, quick note, tomorrow on 4/25, this is April 24th. So tomorrow, 4/25, just a disclaimer to our audio listeners, because some won't be listening to this. Maybe too late to know about this little tidbit, but before 11:59 Eastern Standard Time, at least that's what they put on their link. That will be the last chance to purchase event swag for Geo Woodstock. So if you were going to buy something, now is the time. Well, watch the show and then go buy whatever you want to buy.
After the show, you'll get some stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, after the show. Anyway, so there's our quick note. All right. So we're going to get into LilyPad Chat. Now, some folks had heard about this, Jeremy. I know that, and some we'll talk about, is some of the early beta testing, or one of the beta tests, I guess, was it the Yuma Mega?
That's
Is
right.
that correct?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, Yuma, about 2 years ago.
Yeah. So let's kind of back up a moment, though. Where did the idea for LilyPad Chat come about, and what was sort of the genesis of this project?
Okay, well, we're gonna go back in time. Bloop, bloop, bloop. We're gonna go back in
way
time
back.
to the early days of geocaching, and there was a company called Kivenella, which actually means under a rock in Finnish, and they created an app called Track on Fly. And they, at the time, I think people in Finland had more phones than people, so they all had Nokia phones, you know. So they had built this application on a Nokia phone that would allow you to share your location with other people using Track on Fly. And Track on Fly had a website as well that would show everybody that was using the app, which was a handful of people. So it wasn't a lot of people. So we were able to go to Finland. We went to Helsinki, and I'm trying to think. I think it's Suomenlinna, which is the island that you can take a ferry to, and there was a geocaching event there. And a lot of people had the Nokia phones. So, and I had gotten one so I could try it out. And you were on the boat, and you could see all the other people on the boat. And this is like 15, 20 years ago. So it was a long time ago.
Wow.
Really before its time. Love the idea, and basically the app was going on for a while. We ended up acquiring the app, and then we converted it to something we called Geocache Live. And ultimately, it was just too early of an application, but there was a lot of potential to be able to see in real time people out geocaching they were navigating to, and there were stories. They actually went on a drive, and people were watching them drive around Europe finding geocaches. And one time they broke down, and somebody that was watching them lived nearby, and they helped change a tire to do something like that. So it's like this immediate assistance that happened by people that were watching and exploring that. So I always, back of my mind, I was always thinking about how geocaching as an app is really just an app for searching, downloading, accessing geocaches, and listing them when you hide one. So it's really passive. It's like you just go and you grab everything, you go out, you have your experience, you come back, you log it. That's it. So there really isn't that live experience. Like, what's the pulse of the game? Like, what are people doing right now? And people want to phone a friend when they can't find the geocache, or they just want to feel like a larger community of people might ask a question about a geocache, or if they come into a new area, like a lot of people have done, they end up meeting other local geocachers. So could I create an application today that kind of matches some of that with a little bit more of the privacy concerns that are, about sharing a location. So that was really the idea. When I stepped down as the president of geocaching in 2016, I've been behind the scenes doing a lot of sort of R&D efforts to see what kind of, how can we augment the game in interesting ways. And this idea and another idea that we're working on that we can't talk about yet came up, and we started with this one because it just seemed like a really good way to engage the community more, especially around events. So that's really what this is built for, is events and also communities. So people like geocaching associations that want to be more in touch with their communities. But then there's this idea that if I go into a region and I join the chat, then I have access to other people in that region that I can chat with. The biggest problem about one of these applications, just like any other location-based game or experience, is the empty room problem. And that's when you walk into a room, there's no one to talk to if there's no one there. And it even makes that worse when you have an application that's worldwide, because there might be two people, but they're not in the same room. They're not even in the same country. So it's to get that group of people in one area to be able to make and engage within this application, you have to manufacture that in some way, whether it's to force everybody to use it, like Facebook forcing you to use their Messenger app, or being able to go to events and events that are encouraging, like they want to go and try out new ideas. That's basically how Foursquare and Twitter, by going to South by Southwest, they had an engaged community willing to download a new application and try something different. So that's how the approach is not to like force feed people the app, but to try to test it within events and see how they use them, how people use them, geocachers use them, and then react to that. So it's basically a really basic chat application with a lot of location focus and privacy that allows you to chat with your local community and engage with regions. You can even connect to a region that you're not part of and communicate to that region outside of it and sort of see the pulse of that.
Right. Yeah. John, you tell your quick story about, we, all three of us and most of our network team all have it now, but John had an interesting experience. You were coming back, you were headed back to town, and you
absolutely.
Tell Jerry about what happened.
So I was on a family vacation down in North Carolina, and on the way back I spent a night in a town in Pennsylvania. And at that time I thought, right before I was leaving, and it was kind of like interesting timing on this one, but I opened it up right before I was leaving, and they actually had a chat channel with a couple of people. And at that point it just like hit me. I was like, this is so cool. I was like, I wish I thought of this the night before when I arrived, because I probably would have actually just said, hey, does anybody want to meet up and grab pizza and talk caching? And then, the other part would have been like, I would have asked people if they wanted to go caching and, go to some different locations or get some different recommendations. And I was like, that is so cool. And, now I'm like, okay, anytime I travel, when I go to a location, I'm going to open up this app and then see what that local chat and that local community is like. Because that just seems like such a wonderful opportunity to engage them. And because let's face it, sometimes we travel and we'll see an event at a location. We'll be like, I want to go to that event. And then we meet people from that place, or if we like kind of just bump into a cacher at random. But to me, this makes it a lot more smooth, a lot more fluid, a lot more engaging. And I can't wait to travel again and just pop it up and then find out who's there and be like, who wants pizza? It's on me. Here's where I am,
Luring him in with pizza, right? Pizza Ninja.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard for people to say no to pizza. Just saying.
Oh, I hear you. Yeah, we got some good comments.
At that point, I was like, that is so powerful, of an app on that side.
Yeah. So, real quick, I want to make a comment too that if you do have a question for Jeremy tonight, definitely ask. And like we normally do, we put a little star by them, and we'll get to everybody's questions. So we appreciate everybody. We've already had some good questions. I saw Jen had a question, so we'll get to those here in a minute. I do like the some of the things that Nicole mentioned. One that I think is interesting is I can't wait to try it out at a big event or out on a swamp hike. Nicole and her swamp hikes. She is.
That's popular here in Florida, though. Those swamp hikes.
Popular, but something that Jesse you talked about before, which is if everybody's connected together, and I guess is something too, Jeremy, you might talk about, is that if everybody was sort of, let's say they were in a swamp or in the woods or something, and they were doing, a CETO or something like that, you could sort of, in a sense, if you had your, like you said, if you formed a group, you could know whether, or everybody got back to the starting point. And if you had one person, if you looked on the map and you had one person that was a little further out, you could sort of contact them and said, "Hey, we're wrapping up. You need to come on back." So that's another, I guess, another good thing that you can use. There seems to be several things that we've even talked about where you can use the app for.
Yeah, I mean, focus. Go ahead.
No, you're fine.
Okay. So you go ahead, because there's already two good questions. I think you're going to lead us into something really good. So go for it.
Go for it.
Well, since we're focusing on groups, basically like organizations and events, you can create a group, invite people to that group, and then you can share your location to the group. So you don't even have to share it to everybody. You can just share it to the group. And one of the challenges with this app is there's some functionality that is not in other apps, and it's kind of hard to educate people on how to use it. But one of those things are you can add places within a group. So if you have an event and you have certain areas that you're having activities, you can post those as the organizer, and then people can place. Right. You can place something. There's private locations, what I can talk about, and also if you're traveling to somewhere, you can mark a destination, and they can see where you're heading to.
Cool. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I wanted to show that while you were talking about that too. So go ahead.
Yeah, so if you're doing like a cash machine, you have it organized, something like that, you can have a group and then you share that link. Whether they can scan a QR code, you can print it out, put it on something so people can join the group. You can invite them. There's a bunch of different normal ways that you can join groups. Sure. Once they've joined the group, you can share or not share your location, and then you can chat within the group, and then you can also see all the locations shared there. What you also showed is the private locations. So one thing we thought about, and just thinking about privacy of family privacy, is that I don't necessarily want people to know when I'm at home, or at work, or at my kid's school, or something like that. So, or maybe I'm going to the doctor's office, and I don't want people to know about that. So you can go on there, and you can just create privacy areas where, as soon as you enter that bubble, your location stops sharing, no matter what setting. Cool. And that way you can say, whenever I'm home, I'm not available. So you can't see me, I'm not shared. And then once I go out of that bubble, depending on what my settings are, you can share them. Also, you can be granular on what kind of sharing you can do. You can share to everybody. By default, you're not sharing to anyone when you download the app and use it. You can share it to, and when you share it to everybody, that doesn't mean that somebody in Europe is going to be able to see your location. It means that people within a radius of, I think it's like a few miles. I don't exactly know the distance, but certain mile range will even make it a little bit more obvious how far out it is. Then if anybody's within that range, they can see you. And that's if you're sharing with everyone. If you share with your friends, though, then we break that rule intentionally. So you can see where your friends are no matter where you are in the world. If they share it with you and they're in Europe, you'll see them in Europe. And you can even get as specific to say, okay, well, I have friends, but they're friends. Like they're ones I don't necessarily want them to be able to track me all the time. Then I can start with friends and those are my close friends. And those close friends can see my location.
Love
and
it.
then on top of it, if you start sharing locations and you are navigating, the intention is to have some kind of serendipity of finding a friend. So if you're out and about and you have it running in the background, and you get close to one of your friends, you'll get an alert saying your friend's nearby.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
And the intention is that once you stop, so if you're driving through a city and you drive past someone, that might not necessarily trigger that. But if you're in a place, like in the case of Elias and Brian, they were at the same hockey game, and they were
Right.
notified they were near each other. They didn't know that.
You know.
So that's the idea.
Yeah, because there's that. So I was looking at like John, and it shows notify when the friend is nearby. So that'll be cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Very,
I see
yeah.
the social aspect of it.
One thing
So
that we
let's-
talked about that we're going to do is John and I are going to use it at Geo Woodstock, and so John, I'm going to go ahead and spill the beans on this one, and that is that
Yeah.
at some point during Geo Woodstock, can I do I share
I
this?
think
Can
you should
ahead?
go for it,
Okay.
Gary.
Oh no, Gary just spilled the beans.
So we're going to go live and also visible, and we're going to have prizes. If you can find us, we're going to have prizes. So John and I are going to be available. And you were saying too, Jeremy, with that, if we're visible on the app, even if we're not friends with somebody who's nearby, if they're in the app and I've set myself as visible, they should still be able to see me, right? Is that
Right. Yeah.
okay?
There is a setting in there where it'll time out, and it's intentional.
Okay.
So
Okay, cool.
I think by default it'll time out after 60 minutes of having your
Okay.
app in the background. So if you have your
Gotcha.
app active and you're navigating around, it'll work. But when you have it in the background, it's basically to make sure that you don't forget that you're sharing your location.
Sure.
You know,
Right.
but you can turn it on to be always. And we've worked really hard to limit the battery use on that, but there is some additional battery use of sharing your location all the time.
Yeah.
Sure.
So that is one of the caveats. So if you go to an event and you just want to turn it on for a little bit, and you'll still see everybody. It's not something where if you don't turn yours on, they won't. Like on LinkedIn, you'll be able to see who people are looking at yours until you see theirs. It's kind of silly, but that's the general idea. I did see a question about how you could share groups and on cache pages.
Yeah.
You don't need to use a QR code. You can actually just copy a link and then share the link. So basically, QR codes are links anyway. So they're just
Sure.
fancy links, and they're just so it's easy to take a snapshot and navigate to it. So that's a really easy way to do it. But if you were like to print it on a table at an event and you wanted somebody to scan it, the easiest way to join a group for an event.
So since this is all part of the official, geocaching universe, I assume it's okay to put those on event pages and promote that at events and use that as part of events, like sign into this, we're going to do trivia through this app or whatever. And that stuff's perfectly okay at geocaching events, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the intention, I've always considered myself as a tool maker and the company as a tool maker. So we make tools and then we don't know how they're going to be used. So the intention is use it the way you want to use it. And hopefully it won't break because it is a new thing. And one of the concerns we had, and the reason why it took us longer to release it, and we're not even like announcing it through emails or anything at this point, because we wanted to make sure it can function under a big load, and that can be a big event. So, by testing this out, we may have some issues, but we've done a lot of load testing to make sure that we can handle it. In the early days of geocaching, people always joke that we have to feed the hamsters because on Sundays, our website would go down because there were so many people logging their funds that the site wouldn't work.
Right.
So we've always been aware of the fact that if you got a lot of people hitting a website at the same time, or an API or a service, whatever, it might create issues. So we've done what we can, but the real world, can break a lot of things.
Well, I'll tell you,
Sure.
Jeremy, one use I'm debating for it is geo-bartering. I don't know if geo-bartering's a term officially.
Bartering.
But I'm thinking, so if there's an event, of course, my interest in pizza, I could be like, here's my location and my exchange rate for a pass tag is 1 slice of pizza. And, does that seem like a fair use of this to geo-barter for pizza?
Bartering for pizza.
You're asking me, really. Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Okay. I just want to make sure it falls within the sanctioned use. Yeah.
Here's a really good question.
I want to make sure we really address this question too, because a lot of people cache as a family and have one account. How would they go about navigating this? Because obviously they have more than one phone, but is there a way to navigate that, or they need I'm not going to say the sock puppet account because that's really bad to say in front of you, but we know people have second accounts for families, right? So how would somebody approach that?
Well, there are some challenges with LilyPad Chat and accounts in general. One of the things that we wanted to do is make sure that we secured a user account that's a geocaching account. So if somebody was a non-geocacher and they wanted to create a LilyPad Chat account with the same name, they couldn't. So when you go in there the first time, it'll ask you for your geocaching account. Unfortunately, geocaching was started before social media. And social media has rules for what usernames can be. And they're basically just alphanumeric, maybe underscores. So it's limited. So there's a lot of emojis and other characters that are not going to work with this application. And what I would suggest is you can link any account to your phone number and your username, because the username for LilyPad Chat, although it might match, like mine is Jeremy and Jeremy, but that's because I was able to protect Jeremy because there's a Jeremy geocaching account. You can create it with your phone number, create your own username, and then you can link a geocaching account with it. Especially if it has like a place in the name or something like that, and you do not wish to change your geocaching account. And then when people look up, their friends, it'll actually say, okay, well, your friend with this geocaching account is online, or your friend with this phone number is online. Which, by the way, we don't hold we actually encrypt all the phone numbers on our servers. So we don't actually know your phone number. We just know that the way that we encrypt it is that it matches, and it's not something we can reverse. So we don't store that information, but we say like, hey, your friend that you shared your contact to us with is matched, in here, and they have an account too. So that's how you can also find. So it was a kind of a difficult solution because we wanted to make sure that we can encourage, the use of the same usernames, but because you can link your geocaching account to your LilyPad Chat account, that kind of fixes it. So you'll go onto somebody's user account, it'll just say it on your profile that it's a geocaching user, and then we also put a little icon in the corner of your profile image that says you're a geocacher.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
I like that.
So, and the very easy thing you could do is just create an account, but then you wouldn't be able to link your geocaching account. And I don't actually know if you can link the same geocaching account to 2 phone numbers, but you might be able to. I just don't know if you do that. That's like
I'm
a use
sure
case.
we can have somebody test it. Yeah.
I'll know soon.
Yeah.
There you go. We talked about a moment ago about the place, setting up a place, and then we talked a little bit before the show started. It was about a private group. So when we set the private groups up, you said you can send a link. In the app, when you set up a group, does it create the QR code for it then as well? And you could just, so
right, yeah, you'll go onto the info page, and then it'll have ways that you can share it. You can also have moderators. So say there's you wanted to have more than one moderator, you can add moderators and admins to it, and those people can invite other people if it's invite only, or they can use a link for people to add. So you can kick people out of the group if you need to. Hopefully that won't happen that often, but at least you have the ability to do that.
Yeah.
Hey, Jeremy, if I share my screen, could you walk me through how to generate the QR code?
Yeah, I can. If I can share mine.
Let me see, because or if you want to share yours, either way.
Yeah.
Because I'm just thinking it may be helpful for people to see the interface that we're talking about.
Let's see, okay, lock your phone. I haven't used this iPhone mirroring thing yet. It's pretty good.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Okay.
We can do a share of that. That's fine too. While you're working on that, Brad and Jen sitting next to each other, a few feet away from each other during our shows. They said that you can't. When you say denied, Jen, are you talking about it won't let you do the same phone number twice? Is that?
Yeah, there are the two phones question.
Oh,
that was the two phone question, right? Yeah.
Okay, so you can only have one geocaching account per phone number. So you can't have two phone numbers.
Or use the same. Yeah, you can't use the same phone number. Yeah.
I know that if you log into one phone with your phone number and then you try to log into another phone, it'll log you out of the previous one. It's mostly because you can't track two phones at the same time. Doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Let's see if I can do this.
Yeah, they couldn't do two numbers with one name. Makes sense. Okay.
Let's see if I can present.
Like Jen's comment was a companion account. That's right.
I'm not sure I can share it on here.
Well, I can already see something that you could do in events while we're pulling this up. Like, hey, I'm here. Come find first person to find me gets a trackable. That'd be some fun. So we've done that before with low tech ways, right? Yeah, that could be a lot of fun.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fun things.
Jeremy, if you want to walk me through it.
Oh, there you go. Okay, sure. Go into your map.
Okay.
And then go down to chat. Okay, and then go to groups. Okay, and then I think there's a plus up at the top.
Is it right there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
There you go.
Group. Okay.
Group name.
Oh gosh.
Make it private. So you can actually, it could be searchable as well if you do it public.
Okay.
Then you can invite members, or you can just create the group.
Okay. I'm going to add Nels. He's a big pizza fan as well too. That we usually send each other pictures of pizza through this app.
Okay, now if you tap on Pizza Fans, or the icon, I believe, it's one of those two, invite via,
okay.
The link, an individual, or a QR code. So you can just tap on that QR code. That's the link. So that's something where you can have it scanned from somebody else's phone. You can present that. You can also go to any QR code generator and copy that link and generate a QR code. Or you can take a snapshot of your with the phone, your camera phone, and just email that to yourself, edit it, whatever, and you can share it that way too.
Okay. Yeah, and I see some people on here right now who are watching the podcast have probably used their phones to jump into the Pizza Fans group.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so be nice if you're jumping in live.
Yep.
Yeah. If you close that one out and then you look down at the different folders, there's geocaches and places.
Oh, okay.
So you can add a geocache, and that'll be.
What?
Well, that's cool.
That is very cool.
So you can select it, or you can create a new one.
Okay.
And it'll take what's close enough to you, and then you'll be able to pick something.
Let's use that one.
And then it'll show up on everybody's group chat. They'll see the geocaches and the places on there.
Well, that's cool. So how do I select like another moderator?
I think you tap on it, or click on it, and then I think upper in the right-hand corner, I think that might be it.
Okay,
No,
I'm
go
not gonna
back.
block Happy Hodag.
Lots of this feature. I think it is in the group functionality though.
Is it? Okay.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, I see that.
We have owner.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do I?
I thought you were able to. I'll have to check that one.
Okay.
It's an obvious thing.
Yeah, no worries. I know for me, it's just like I'm trying to wrap my head around using it, but I mean, it's cool just from.
I think in the phone you swipe right or swipe left. I think it's one of the swipe option that you do. I don't know if you can do it. There you go. Just ban and remove. I didn't want to do either of those.
Yeah, sorry, Happy Hodag. I hit you by accident.
Maybe it's the other way. All right, well, I'll check to it.
Okay. Yeah, thank you on that one. And then allow group to
Or maybe it's it's the gear icon.
Oh, okay.
Moderators. There you go.
Okay. So on here, I'm gonna add Nels. I'll add Soccer Kicks. I know she likes pepperoni pizza on here. So I'll add them as moderators. And oh, that's cool. Permissions right there. Who can invite people to the group? So then we can say anyone. Then notification settings for my groups is nearby. Well, that's cool. That's really cool.
So, Jeremy, how do you envision that? So we set up a group. Let's say it's our local, like Gary has a Motley Caching Crew. That's his group that he goes out with. So he can set that group up with those people in there. And let's say it's Gary's data plan. He gets to start adding the caches that they're going to go for that weekend. So then everybody kind of has it in the LilyPad and they can go for them. They all kind of know together what they're going for on the fly.
Yeah, and you can actually, the ... beside the geocache, if you tap on that, you can actually set it as a destination to say you're navigating to it. And you can also open it in geocaching. So that way you can navigate and see the description. It's a limited amount of information that's in the app itself because it's supposed to be paired with the geocaching app.
Right.
That's cool.
And at this point, it'll put a line saying that you're heading towards it.
There it is. Yeah.
Very cool.
What's the line? Yeah.
Yeah, and it shows the cache type and that you're navigating to it. It should work behind in the background. So if you're navigating to it within the geocaching app, it'll actually show that you're navigating to it to anybody that has this app open.
So this is cool. So I mean, a lot of people like going to an event like Geo Woodstock. Otherwise, like Jesse was saying, like Gary's like Caching Crew. They could do that, share that permission. That's awesome. So
you could pick an item, say for like if there's like Geo Woodstock, there's an event at the wharf. It's like if we're all doing something, we're nearby maybe, but somebody could set that and go, all right, group, we're all headed to the event now. You could sort of, it's almost like a notification to your group, say, okay, everybody, I know y'all are fairly close, but I'm now notifying you that we're all now going to this destination as a group.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, and you can also in the main regional chats, which I mean, since you have it open, you can show this. Where'd your X go?
Oh, hold on.
Maybe it's
there we go. Okay.
Here it is.
So if you go back, the back button on the pizza fans, or just close it out, go back to the chat. I'm going to change that so it goes just to here. There's a regional chat, and the regional chat, you just tap in there, and then say you wanted to just have a general geocaching chat. You could say, join me at, and then hashtag geocaching.
Sure.
Is it oh, that's funny. Okay. Yeah. I have my preference set to somewhere else, so my pound symbol does not come up easy. Is it the @ symbol, Jeremy, or is it?
It's the hashtag. So it's like
A regular hashtag.
It's called hashtag topics. So it's any kind of topic you can create. There's no moderator, but it's like creating an instant group that's within the region.
That's cool.
And then once you join that, and then you can actually do it here too, is you can, where the file, the paperclip is at the bottom. If you click on that, you can actually share a place or a geocache.
Oh.
So you can share it to the entire region if you wanted to.
Oh, neat.
Very cool.
I think Brian did this once because he was trying to get a little more people to an event. So he posted in the Seattle regional chat that an event was happening in a couple hours.
Oh, very cool. I like that. Yeah.
So it's a good way to be like, okay, well, there's an event and somebody didn't do a search and actually find it, so they weren't ready for it. But if you got a minute and you're nearby, you might as well join.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm
thinking
Nicole's
of
comment.
traveling and cruising. I was that's fine. I was on a cruise to Alaska and just happened to run in a geocacher on that cruise. We only found each other because we'd both found the same cache in one of the ports, right? So I'm on the cruise boat, and cachers are going to have access to the internet because we got a cache, right? I can turn this on in that area, and I can see what other cruisers are on the boat if they got this app.
Right.
Or even locally in the port. I can meet a brand new cacher in the port that I go to. Turn it on. Hey, I'm going to be here for an hour. Anybody want, 4 hours. Anybody want to go geocaching? I love that idea.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, it was,
we're going to.
I was going to say, early days.
We're going to. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, in the early day of geocaching,
We got a delay again.
Required to do that in the first place was we were out on a boat and we ran out of gas, and we asked a friend of ours to post a geocache that was we're out of gas, just to see if somebody would find us, and they missed us by about 20 minutes, 30 minutes, or something like that.
Wow.
Just a geocacher happened to see the listing on the site, went out and tried to find us with gas. And I always thought that was really cool that, even though it wasn't even actively, pinging anybody, people were actively on the website. They saw a new geocache and they, tried to help.
Very cool. Yeah, Tim was asking about international ready. I assume it'll be using.
It is international ready. There are concerns right now about making sure that it can keep up with traffic. So we made it only, I think, Canada and the US right now, just so we can make sure that it can to manage that group. And then we plan on releasing it to the rest of the world. There's nothing restricting it other than just making sure that everything's working. That's why we haven't announced it. We haven't put an email out to anyone through our millions of geocachers out there, because we don't want a huge storm. It's one of those things where every time we release on the geocaching app, we have to think about scale. In this one, we're thinking about scale, but we want to make sure that we've tested out the functionality and make sure, like the geocaching functionality, and this is not great yet. It doesn't have filtering. You can't even filter your own finds. So people are actively geocaching. It can be frustrating to see all the caches that you found when you're trying to find new geocaches in an area.
Gotcha. Yeah. No, that's smart. It's got so many potentials. We just scratched the surface, talking about some of these. Annette mentions, she says, might be handy on our international cruise this summer from London to Iceland. So yeah, very cool. Good idea.
I also saw a good.
We can sit here.
That would explain it a little bit better, because there are some functionality that just doesn't. It's not normal within a chat app.
Right.
Okay. I think like you mentioned before, when y'all come up with a tool, You have a lot of ideas of what's going to happen, but you really never know how people are going to use it. And I think that's what you're going to, that's what we're all going to find as it rolls out to more and more people. There's probably a use that we haven't thought of yet that may be the most popular one.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm going to work on having a feedback loop, because right now there's no place to tell me how they're using it other than seeing how they're using it on the back end. I go back into the forums. I haven't been there in years, but I might go back and, to have a category, or even go into Reddit, depending on where the geocachers are, and get some feedback that way.
Yeah.
Could you create a group in there, a hashtag feedback for LilyPad?
I actually do have
for that one.
Yeah, I have one locally, but I could create a group that people can join and test that out, and also give feedback that way.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe
I
afterwards.
think of things like, I mean, people would leave feedback, I believe.
Yeah. I mean, right now there's LilyPad Chat Seattle. So if you searched for that chat, there's a hashtag called LilyPad Chat in Seattle, and that'll pop up.
So
I see
trying to
this
understand
too.
the regional versus. Go ahead.
I'm just say real quick. I just saw that. Go ahead. I'm going to talk about something else real quick. Go ahead. Go ahead before I do that. Go ahead.
Yeah, we got a little delay in our thing. That's my fault. I have bad computer stuff. We know. So just trying to understand the difference between regional and kind of global. If you were to get on, and I'm my brain's on Reddit right now since you keep bringing that up, right? So if you were to broadcast your location, can you broadcast it as far as you want to? Like you specifically or anybody?
No, and the reason why is the performance. Like if every geocacher was sharing their location to everybody in the world, it just wouldn't be able to. The system wouldn't be able to keep up with it. I think that if we did like plots on a web map or something, maybe that would work. It would be cool to see everybody, but it's not possible. So it's actually kind of fun that you have a limited range. It's like in video games they call it the fog war, but it's basically like you only see this far, like whatever your potential visual distance is or whatever. So you have to move around in order to see more. But as more people congregate to an area, then you can really see that dynamic, flow of people. And that's what it'll be interesting to see, like how often do we update? When I'm navigating to a person, should I get more updates from that person? And and then it comes down to like with Track and Fly, there's an intentional error that you could put in your location, so people couldn't like track you, but they would know that you're generally in the area. And the way that we've handled it is through the regions. So if you're in a region, you'll know that you're in the region. You'll be able to see that they're there, but you'll be able to see where they are. And then on top of that, we're going to be adding check-ins to locations. So you can say I'm at the Seattle Center, or I'm at a museum or something, but you're not necessarily where you are. And once you do that, it's sort of like a container that you're inside. People don't know exactly where you are.
Oh, very cool.
Very cool. Yeah. Now I noticed that there's this topics section. And I don't. So what would be the use of? So I noticed that there's some different people have put in topics.
Mm-hmm. So we don't know. I don't actually know what people use it for. I think it would be interesting if I'm in Seattle and there's an art walk, or maybe it's like a Ballard art walk or something, that would pop up. And we have a little carousel at the top of every app that tells you like how many people are in the region, whether they've joined the region chat or not, to give you an idea of like what the population is, which is not a lot right now. And then there's a little carousel that if there's any hashtag topics that are popular in the moment, you'll see them. So maybe there's some active protest that's going on in the city. You might see a hashtag for the protest because everybody's joined it, or a particular event going on is happening, or a particular game. I know in SeaTac, like at the airport, you're in that area, you can create a hashtag that's like, where am I heading to? Am I going to San Diego? Am I going, like I'm taking off and going somewhere? So it could be like a travel destination kind of thing. So whenever I take off on a plane, I always say, have a little plane that says destination, and it's like San Diego or something. And then it'll like, it'd be hashtags. People going to San Diego, and they're just hanging out at the airport. They can have a chat, ask questions, that kind of thing. So those are the kind of things that I was thinking, and like activities that you might be interested in that you want to get people involved in, or you just have similar interests. I know that Hashers is a community of people that like to congregate as well. So they might be, organizations that are more like free and open and not group based that might show up there too.
What other items, Jeremy, I'm kind of curious, are like on the roadmap? Because it sounds like, right now it's roll it out and kind of see what the usage looks like, what the load is too, onto that. But I'm guessing, and I'm just trying to kind of think, because I know we have like Geo Woodstock this summer. We have so many awesome events this year. It's like, the problem is you can't go to every single event. But if there's something where, I guess, understanding the roadmap, but then also how to help you test it out as well too, what would you like to see the community use to help with this?
Yeah, well, we have a lot of lackeys that are traveling around these events. I haven't engaged them as much because I'm still kind of a wait and see approach to see how some of these events are going to respond to it. But the intention is, every event organizer could probably see some benefit to this, even if it's just to communicate what's going on during the day, letting people know, what events are happening, or giving them information about parking, or, whatever kind of maybe an issue would come up and they have a solution for that people aren't aware of. There's a lot of things like that. And then I love the idea of playing games where you have to track people down to get tags and stuff like that. So I like that idea. You could create a hashtag that's like, find me or whatever. And then like people go and they say, if you find me, you'll get pizza or whatever it is. Like there's lots of fun things. And I think the cool thing is that we are launching it to the geocaching community. So it is kind of a family. I feel like there's a little bit more trust involved with doing those one-off events and being able to go to these groups. And it feels like some safety. And you can decide not to participate in sharing your location, but you can still participate in, the activities and the communication without being, without worrying about your privacy.
Right. Makes sense. I had a question. If anybody else have questions in the chat room, please ask. We're starting to get toward the end. So I noticed one thing too, Jeremy, on my friends. I'm just kidding. In air quotes. No, they're all people I know. But I noticed that people I see, if they're for the colors. So like some people are green. Some people are blank and some are yellow. Is there like,
you mean the icons?
Yeah, like they're if you go to your active friends list, like Valena's watching the show. I just noticed she's on gray. Some of my other friends are gray. Pizza Ninja was green. He's green right now.
Oh, okay.
Green.
Nice. So those are
Jesse,
status indicators. Okay. So if it's green, they're actively open and they're using the app. Gray, gotcha. Generally, it means it's in the background. So it's running in the background.
Okay. And then yellow?
I think yellow, I forget what the status for yellow is. It was a recent update, I think, but it's not currently updating. I think that's how it is.
So gotcha. So it's like it's just it's like it's just now into a wait mode, almost like Jesse's in wait. For me, he's showing yellow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have to remember what those colors were. I know that the green is actively open. If it shows a location, it definitely means they're sharing their location with you. If you tapped on one of those people, you would see exactly where they are on the map. And you could tap on the map itself and it would bring you to their chat with them front and center.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
So, Jeremy, I got a question, and I'm kind of geeking out. I'm going down a rabbit hole with this already. So, while we're talking here, I joined my regional group, and I said, "Hey, what do y'all think about this app?" So somebody answered, and they said, "I think it's going to be great when more and more people get on it." I said, I just happen to be talking to Jeremy Irish right now. Do you have any questions for him? So I got a question for you from LilyPad. And it's one of our questions that I ask you anyway, but hey, I'm the first person to get to do that on a podcast, so I'm loving it. So anyway,
there you go.
So the user asked, and I won't read the name because I didn't have permission to. Are there any plans to integrate other geocaching app features into this app, such as logging? And I guess the big question there is, how much of a crossover is there going to be?
Well, the nice thing about the fact that it's integrated is you can just click on the cache and go to it. So it's not, you don't really have to log it. I think the functionality of logging is already in the geocaching app. So I feel like it would be a long possible feature. It is possible that both apps will eventually be together. But the reality is, like, I would rather work on, say, more group functionality features, or maybe, I've been thinking about what if there was more static forum posts, kind of like a location-based Reddit, where you're in a region and you can have posts that exist all the time. So if somebody's visiting a new area, people can offer tips, and you can have different subject matter based on what's going on in that area. So less of a live feature, but more of a what's going on in and even linking to things like Reddit. So I focusing on those things, and then the geocaching app would be very good at geocaching.
Sure.
Very cool. I just answered them. So that was pretty fun. I just got to ask, hey, anybody got any questions? And somebody in my local region was able to ask a question.
Oh,
That's
man.
cool.
Perfect.
So cool.
Send them a link to
I
the
love it.
podcast.
Yeah, I will. Absolutely.
You can watch themselves getting answered.
That's right. That's right.
Some more questions. Ryan's asking, will our caches in LilyPad show us found? I think he's talking about future.
Yeah, this is really a fast follow. This is like a fast follow in development is like, we launched it, but we wanted to release all this other stuff, but we got to get it out. So, there's terms like minimum viable products. It's like, this is the product that we could get out that actually has enough functionality to be useful. So we kind of are in that area, which we've really tested it. There's not a lot of issues going on that we track. But once we get there, we're like, well, the first thing people say is, I want to filter out my finds, or I want to even see that they're found. And neither of those features were in there. So it's definitely something that's getting ready to launch. And that's actually another reason why I didn't want to launch it. Have a big announcement, because that would be the first thing. It's like, well, it doesn't do the bare minimum for geocaching that I need. And these are the early adopters are the ones that, are engaged with geocaching. They found a lot of geocaches. It's not like the casual geocacher that, necessarily goes to the event.
Yeah.
Yes. A soft launch is always great, because then you, like you said, you can kind of gauge some of that and also get really good feedback before you and we're, if they're watching our podcast, they're typically not a brand. There are some that are brand new cachers. Most of them are all fairly advanced people if they're watching one of our shows. So another question. Amateur Gadget Geocaches. Is there a chance for legacy message center to be replaced by this app and do an app switch, like when you open an Adventure Lab? So
I think the easy answer is yes, probably, or most likely that would happen. And one thing that we're working on too is encrypted messaging from person to person. So, in the public chats and stuff, you can't encrypt because you need one encryption key. So we're going to be adding one-to-one, like direct messaging, or, certain messaging where we want to encrypt that information. But those are the things that we're focusing on. With the Legacy Messenger Center, it's, built into the app itself. And to require somebody to use LilyPad Chat, they're going to have to disclose their phone number, which a lot of people do with two-factor authentication now, that they've moved into. Like, well, I just have to get my phone number, but then that creates a lot of issues. Like, I could have a list of all the technology issues there always is, especially when you have an application that was built a long time ago and has a lot of legacy code in it. I was saying before the podcast that there's still code in there that I wrote years ago, like 15 years ago. They call JAR code, and it's just, it is what it is. It worked. But when you try to like add certain features or, migrate something over, it takes time. And, when there's lots of other things to focus on, it's kind of hard to do that. But I would love to get to where it's integrated like a Facebook Messenger and like a geocaching style messenger.
I'm so excited for this one. It's interesting. One thing too, in the danger, of course, whenever you do a show like this, Jeremy, right, is people are going to throw out all these like crazy ideas at you. But I know I was even thinking like mob caches, because I know like mob caches went away. I was thinking like, oh man, this would be like the perfect app for like a mob cache type of experience.
And as I remember, a mob cache is get enough people at a location. Yeah, and then they log into an app basically, and it triggers. Find. I forget if there's a geocache or there's a find.
Yeah, it would open.
It would like trigger information. Yeah, so like it would clue or coordinates or something like that.
Yeah, you had to have enough people. I did. Yeah, those were. Yeah, sadly are gone. But yeah, there'd be like, hey, we have to have 8 people, and we have to be close enough together. For this app to activate, and then it's like, oh, here are the final coordinates, and you're like, all right, we could go for it now.
Yeah. Well, there's an app called. Have you heard of If This Then That? It's a website. So I always thought if you could, eventually I would love to pull in some kind of API that people could insert their own games into geocaching. Some like fun location-based games. This would be a good opportunity for somebody to put a hook in or something and then create a mini game.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I love that.
Yeah. So again, it's tools. Like if I can expose people to tools, maybe this becomes another gadget cache feature. So somebody's building a gadget cache and has a SIM card in it, with a phone, and they could text to it, and then they could do some fun thing or have it access Wi-Fi and use an Arduino and something, based on closeness to a geocache, or 2 people are there or 10 people or whatever.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah. I always find those intriguing. You don't see them. I think we don't see enough of them, but there's the ones where you're like, you can't complete this geocache unless you have somebody with you. You're like, I got to push a button here, and the other button's so far enough away that I can't reach it. So you're like, you got to have somebody with you. There's just no other way to do it. It's teamwork. You got to have a teamwork. So those are always kind of fun to hear about, because it just, like you said, it's a neat social thing to do. And so I see so many types of things with LilyPad where you could like you were saying, you're like, we need 5 more people. Come on, we can do
it. My guess is right now that today, I'll give it, depending on how you roll this out, 12 months from now, we'll be totally surprised by how people are using it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I can only hazard a guess on how it's used. I mean, we know other chat applications and how they're used. I come from a generation of non-social media, so I'm not looking at this as being like the next Snapchat or, a social media kind of look at me kind of thing. I think it's really more of a community management kind of app. So, build community, have a pulse of a location, see what's going on in real time, ask for help if you have problems finding a geocache, or whether you're new to the area and, just want to meet somebody or know what kind of events are going on, to the point where non-geocachers might use it for other activities. Like, I love music festivals, and it'd be great if music festivals could use it, and all the stages and all the bands are playing, and you could meet your friend who's there you didn't know it was there just because they popped up. I've always felt like every time I go to a location for the first time, I'm like, I have contacts that I've met for years, and I don't even know if they live here. Wouldn't it be great if I just was notified that, somebody I haven't seen in a long time is nearby, and be able to like have that serendipitous moment. Because I've left many places and found out later that a friend of mine moved there, many years ago that I went to college with or military school or whatever. So
I think this will be great. My initial thought, of course, is we're at Geo Woodstock, and we've got so many people that we know, either their acquaintances or their friends. I mean, there's so many people that we're gonna, I would say, see there. But like you said, Jeremy, there might be people that I'm friends with that I didn't know what day they were coming in or where they were going to be, and we might be at the same restaurant, and then we'll just realize, oh, you're here too. Oh, well, let's sit down and talk for a little bit, because you just don't, that's like you said, it's one of those things like, oh, I should have checked. I didn't realize you were going to, make the trip to Morgantown or not. So, I mean, there's some cool things that I think can happen. Like you said, when you get that interaction, in a large scale kind of thing, like you said, some big event. As Tim says, 3,000, your closest friend you probably haven't met yet. Yeah. So there's going to be plenty of that, but there's a lot of people that I know that, are going to be there, but where they're going to be when I'm, so we, like John, you were just in Morgantown, and you just randomly ran into Mark.
Yeah, Mark Webb, the organizer of Geo Woodstock, and this is 100% true. This is like, I've told this story a few times. I'm going through Morgantown on my way to my family vacation, and I wanted to meet up with Mark, and I know I sent him a Facebook Messenger, and I'm like, Mark, I'm so sorry, I did not get a chance to meet up with you driving through Morgantown. Really wanted to catch up, and I was like, I'm gonna stop for one cache. And I stop at that cache, and I get out of my car, and I hear, "Hello, John." And who is it? It is Mark Webb. And just this
At a
like
random
incredible
place,
chance encounter, where it was cool. It was very, very, very cool to see Mark on that one. But yeah, the sense of like, if we had this app, that I could have probably much easier connected with him,
right? Instead of randomly.
Yeah. So
the intentional serendipity. It's just like, it'll happen. When it does, it's a cool moment. It's like a eureka moment, finding a geocache. You found your friend, that was near.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
a
and
little bit.
you could also think like phone a friend, right? That makes phone a friend very easy. Has anybody found this cache? You can put the cache in there in this area. I'd love to have a hint or help at the cache,
Right.
Yeah. All right, starting to get to the end. If you have any questions, we got a few more questions we're going to go through, and then we're going to wrap up. But I go ahead. You want to go through them? Go ahead and go through them, John.
Yeah, I'll go through the questions real quick because I know we're wrapping up fast, but people have some good questions in here. Is there a way to limit access to my iOS contacts, perhaps to a specific group, or do we really need to allow all contacts to be uploaded to the Groundspeak servers? So that's kind of a privacy issue that you touched on earlier, but you can probably explain it quite well.
I mean, the answer is right now it's all, but it's a really good idea. I didn't really think of it that way. I think part of it is like when I uploaded all my contacts and somebody sends me a friend request, I can decide to say no or not to do the invite, and that would be the easiest way, or ignore the invite if somebody sent it to me. But it does make sense that if you wanted to, spare a bunch of notifications to people you do not want to, share LilyPad Chat with, that makes a lot of sense. So I just wrote it down. I'll just add it to my list of potential add-ons.
Well, and you can't know all the possibilities now, right? Like that's why you're doing a soft rollout. I mean, you can see integration between this and the leaderboard and all kinds of stuff in the future, but you got to get it out there and let people use it, right?
Yeah, it's like geocaching. There's a little bit of like, what do we decide as a culture of a game, and what do we think is okay and what isn't? But then there's also like, where are blind spots? What are we missing?
Right.
And
right.
that is like, how do I think about privacy is different than how somebody else thinks about privacy.
Absolutely.
For sure. So the next question, kind of along the technical lines too, what constitutes nearby? Notify me when a friend is nearby. So what does that mean?
I think it's within a mile, but I have to check on that. And you have to be stationary for a period of time before you get notified. Like, both of you can't be like crossing like
right.
Like, like in the night. You just like, it doesn't make sense because there's no serendipity there. It's just like, hey, I just drove by your house. So that the intention is like that. It's like, hey, I stopped at this restaurant and this person's at a restaurant nearby or their home or something, and then you get a notification.
And
I think it's one
limited
time before it notifies you.
And now this one came from a listener, so I can't control it. It says, anyone else struggling with Jeremy's comment about new ideas and him saying that there's one out there he can't talk about yet? Just in case you need to spill anything, where nobody's listening, so it's okay. It's safe. It's between friends.
Well, I'm not going to spill anything because I don't know when it's coming out or something. But we're playing around. We do a lot of testing. It's really hard to test directly into the geocaching app. I know we just did digital treasures, and that was something that was designed specifically for geocaching. So it wasn't the geocaching app. But we're trying something new with Adventure Labs, another way of logging your finds other than answering a question. So that's something that's being worked on, and I'm hoping that we can get it out by midsummer. I think we have like a 2-month sprint on it, but I don't exactly know how it's going to finish. But if it works well there, then we'll incorporate the idea within geocaching. But it's solving one of the biggest problems. Not problems, but it's like, it's an opportunity for geocaches to have verified finds. So what could we do to do that? If you have a verified find, you can create a lot of other mini games around it, and then they're like game pieces. So, right now you can just say, I've been in a geocache.
Yeah.
So like, if you have a QR code and you scan it first, it scans it. Yeah, that could be fun.
Similar. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Cool.
All right. Well, Jeremy, this has been wonderful. I am kicking myself that we've obviously haven't had you on sooner than this, but this opportunity came up and it was perfect. And we do thank you so much for coming on and getting us all fired up and getting our brains thinking about things we can do about LilyPad. This is really cool. So
I really appreciate you having on. I've had a really good time chatting with y'all. It's been a while since I've actually done any interviews or anything. Brian kind of took the helm. He did take the helm in 2016, 17. And I stepped away and worked on a lot of things internally, but this is the first thing that I've been working on that actually seen the light of day. There's a lot of other game concepts that we played around with, and maybe I've had an input on a lot of things. For example, Adventure Labs is something that was kind of my baby before then, and then of course Where I Go, which it's also a baby that's been just simmering somewhere, and I haven't been able to do anything with. It's like I would love to see adventure games in the real world, and that's where Adventure Labs is. But what other kind of fun things can we do in the world and create these stories and adventures people can participate in?
Yeah,
but I appreciate feedback, getting the voice out in such a way that we get a core group of geocachers that really love the game, and then finding out what they like about it. They want, instead of what I'm guessing people want.
No, appreciate that. Yeah, no, definitely. Well, love to have you back and talk Where I Go. Jesse is the Where I Go.
Time you want to talk Where I Go, just call us and say, cancel your show. I'm coming on. We're good to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Where I Go and AI, like combination of that and storytelling, I think that's pretty cool stuff. So
Absolutely.
You're speaking our language now. That's what we're talking about. That's what we want to hear about right there. That's exciting.
Yeah.
Jesse,
Jeremy, thank
Where
you
I Go, baby.
so much.
You hit the topic.
It's so cool to see all the new things coming from HQ all the time, and to kind of like peer that curtain back and get this like inner kind of like insight. I know for me that has me very excited. So thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it.
Yep.
yeah, well, I didn't mention this earlier, but there was a time when people at geocaching, like at the company, they weren't geocachers, and we made an effort to make everybody a geocacher. So we have like this geocaching program internally where you earn shirts based on how many times you go on geocaching or run an event and that sort of thing. So I think the black shirt is the highest honor you can have, is to have the black shirt. So if you see people with lackey shirt colors, it's based on how engaged they are in it. And I really love that the culture now, the company is to the point where everybody is a geocacher. Everybody's encouraged to do it. We hire geocachers. The community team they're all geocachers. So that's been really exciting, because it was like we work here and we go home, and then it was we work where we play, and now we're all lackeys. So.
Very cool.
Yeah, love that.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. Well, again, thank you so much for doing this special show with us, and we're very excited for the future, and definitely keep in touch, and we'll talk more. LilyPad, and like I said, Jesse you push Jesse's button with the Where I Go, so you're gonna have to hear more.
Where I Go and AI at the same station. That's blowing my mind. So that's a whole nother show we're gonna have to get into.
Yes.
Awesome.
All right. Well, thanks everyone. And actually on Sunday's show, we're going to talk about the geocaching app, the regular geocaching app, and then the Adventure Lab app, and what other apps that you are using. We're going to talk about other apps we love, Cache Tour, and gosh, there's so many of them out there. We're going to sort of try to narrow it down and talk about some more apps on Sunday, and obviously we'll talk a little more LilyPad. So this will be great. So again, thanks everyone. Thanks, Jeremy. And we'll see y'all on Sunday.
Take care,
Good night,
everybody.
May your finds be many, and your DNFs be few. May the terrain and difficulty both be less than 2. And whatever it is you're looking for, may it find its way to you. And may we all meet again.
Folks, we hope you've enjoyed the show tonight. Please email us your comment at geocachetalk@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. The show can be found on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Radio Public, or Spotify, as well as at the Geocache Talk website. Don't forget to click that subscribe button below and ring that bell notification so that you can see and hear the show on a weekly basis. And tell your friends about the show. Get them involved with us in the chat room. And until next week, don't just talk about geocaching, go geocaching.